In the woodwork classroom, there are three main chisels that we use: the firmer chisel, the mortise chisel, and also the beveled edge chisel. The firmer chisel is rectangular in shape. This is for chamfering and trenching. It removes waste, creating an accurate shoulder line using the rectangular edge as a guide to an accurate trench. This can be seen in the diagram in the video. You can see how the shoulder of the chisel can run along the shoulder line of the trench in which is being created. This creates an accurate trench when using the chisel correctly. There are numerous different parts involved in the firmer chisel. You have the blade, the shank, the ferrule, and the handle. But there are also parts in which connect the handle to the blade in which cannot be seen. As shown in the sketch, you can see the tang which connects the handle from the ferrule to the blade. The second chisel discussed in the video is the beveled edge chisel. This chisel is different to the firmer chisel as the corners of the chisel are sloped down, which is called a bevel, where it gets the name the beveled edge chisel. So what does the bevel mean? A bevel is an edge which is not parallel to the main structure of the piece. The chisel is beveled on both sides and is used to get into tight corners like dovetails. This allows you to force the chisel into corners and acute angles which need cleaning out of waste material. As you can see in the diagram, the firmer chisel gets nice and deep into the corners of the dovetail compared to the firmer chisel, which would mark the wood and wouldn't get into the very corners, cleaning out the waste. This is why we use the bevel edge chisel when using acute corners and dovetails to remove the waste accurately and precisely without damaging the joint. The bevel edge chisel also contains the similar parts to the firmer chisel which has been discussed above. But on the top, the chisel is beveled on both sides, creating the beveled edge shape. Finally, the last chisel to be discussed is the mortise chisel. So what is a mortise? A mortise is a hole or recess cut into a part which is designed for a corresponding projection, i.e. a tenon. The mortise chisel is similar to the firmer chisel with a rectangular shape on both sides, creating a rectangular groove when mortising. But if we compare the two chisels together, we can see that the mortise chisel is a lot thicker than the firmer chisel. This is because it is used for a lot more heavy duty work. The handle is also a lot more durable than the firmer chisel, as you will be hitting the head of the chisel with a mallet to ensure that the cutting edge chops the fibres into small pieces when creating the mortise. This is why the chisel contains metal pieces to strengthen and make the chisel a lot more durable. This can relate to the beveled edge chisel, as it can be used when using the mallet to remove trenches and also ensure that when hitting it with a mallet, it protects the chisel and prevents damaging. We can now look at the three chisels' cutting edges. As you can see, the beveled edge has a totally different cutting edge compared to the other two chisels. And you can see that the mortise chisel is a lot more stronger and squarer than the firmer chisel. This backs up what we have discussed above. So let's look at the cutting edge. The cutting edge of a chisel comprises of two different angles. We have A, which is the grinding angle, and B, which is the sharpening angle. The sharpening angle is where it cuts the material and is the sharpest point of the chisel. The grinding angle can be as low as 20 degrees, and the sharpening angle is usually at 30 degrees, which produces the sharp edge in which cuts the material. As the grind angle can be as low as 20 degrees, if it was less, it would lessen the strength of the chisel and could be easily broken if applied to a serious force. As you can see in the diagram, when the grinding angle is less than 20 degrees, it could have a tendency to break and chip, which affects the precision and accuracy when using this tool. With the sharpening angle at 30 degrees, it produces a sharp edge on the chisel, allowing it to cut through the fibres of the wood, creating a nice smooth finish when the chisel is used correctly. This will be discussed in more detail in the next video. As you can see in the diagram, you can see that the 30 degrees begins to curl up the material, removing it easily when providing enough force. The sharpening angle is always more than the grinding angle. When you look at the diagram of the chisel, with the grinding angle at more of a degrees than the sharpening angle, you can see that the cutting edge of the chisel seems to be very weak and has the possibility to break off, as it is so thin compared to the rest of the chisel. This is why the sharpening angle is always more than the grinding angle, because it produces a good cutting edge which cuts through the material easily. Chisels vary in size, but the chisels that are smaller in size, between the top of the chisel and the base of the chisel, provide less pressure in removing the material, as the chisel is cutting through less material. As you can see in the diagram, there is a lot more force needed for the larger chisel to cut through the material compared to the smaller chisel which is above.